Okay, so this is going to be a Songs of the Eons general update on progress. I've been doing live EDU streams for all of the technical stuff, but I'm trying to keep, you know, my gaming streams separate from the technical stuff. But now I'm doing what is effectively sort of layperson's update. So I thought I'd show you guys a few things and give you guys some news about the progress we've made. We're still having, of course, lively discussions in the Discord. Plenty of stuff to talk about. Almost a little too much to talk about at times. And as soon as we have a few more people show up, I'll bounce over to the Unity. And as always, there's some weird stuff going on with my streaming. Okay, so yeah, I'm on Twitch right now and YouTube. Anyway, hey David. So far it's mainly been learning experiences for me. I'm learning object-oriented programming language alongside Unity, because the Unity inspector and some of the various tools are helpful as far as learning is concerned. You can see for a while we had been working on some population model type stuff, and so we had generated a grid and had little populations and wilderness around, and they were kind of shifting and changing based on the model. And recently we shifted over to working on generating terrain and elevation and things like that. And it's still kind of rudimentary and a bit rough, but pretty good for where my learning is at. You can see here's a procedurally generated landscape using different elevation seeds with different types of stamps and stuff. And so you can see, right, these are all the mountains, and then the hills are surrounding the mountains, and then we have, you know, we have oceans as well. And each tile will have various types of data in it. No wilderness or anything like that or populations have been generated yet. You can see there's a lot of, it's pretty rough. There's, you know, it's pretty basic at this point. And we have other tile art that Jonathan has made, but it's hasn't been implemented yet because it requires a little extra work. You see various lakes and stuff like that, and you can see over here we have different variables that are stored in each tile, right? And so the population model is kind of disabled at the moment, but the variables still exist there. So nothing's being rendered as far as population is concerned, just elevation. And we can see in the code we have different stamps for the kinds of mountains that get put down that are randomly generated, which have different parameters. We can add more parameters later to have more diversity and control. Right, so we have vertical spine mountains, horizontal spine mountains that run long, you know. We have big mountains with broad foothills, small mountains with relatively random conditions, large mountains with random conditions, lonely jagged peaks. And And what you end up is with something like this. As far as I want to get into some of the meta stuff, since this is a non-technical stream too. I kind of want to give an update on sort of like my expectations going into the project and how I feel about it so far. I'm actually surprised that I've managed to keep it pretty low stress while actually making some progress. And you know, I spend maybe 30 to 35 hours a week doing something related to the new game developer, without losing too much family time, without hurting work. I'm actually able to go out and do stuff at work without having to worry about falling behind on Songs of the Eons, and actually have something to show for Songs of the Eons. One of the really handy things is the whole idea of creating a community to give you ideas and to help you with some of the technical things has been hugely advantageous. That's something that turned out to be probably one of the best investments as far as time is concerned. I've gotten a lot of help from David Bunk and Calandial and Jonathan. David's has been sorting out how to best proceed in the future as far as building an engine that they handle the volume of calculations we'll be doing. And Calandial is making his own game, and he has like 5 years of experience with Unity. And so whenever I do my technical streams, you know, I have like David and Calandial show up, and then they help give me pointers on object-oriented programming languages and how Unity works and stuff like that. It's really the kind of help that I need, and something that's helped expand my understanding pretty quickly. Jonathan's been doing the tile art. Now this is kind of his older tile art, but he has other little cool things like you know, he's got some pretty snazzy looking. I gotta change their transformation. Hold on. Yeah, he's got stuff like forest tiles, you know, which look pretty cool. And the skill's getting better as time goes on too, so we're constantly getting new tiles. Right. Eventually these wilderness tiles, they're all going to be contingent on underlying variables and things like that. So yeah, a map will look really cool once we're able to calculate moisture and rivers and things like that. And so what I'm planning on doing is calculating how much water is up in a mountain like this, a mountain range like this, and then calculate rivers coming out and draining into the ocean and stuff like that. And then once we figure out the water situation, we can determine how much life a given tile can support. And so then we can calculate where the wilderness tiles show up, and how dense they can become, and then we can put civilization in various places and determine carrying capacity for specific tiles. So yeah, rivers is kind of the next objective, which, you know, everything's. I feel kind of like I'm still in the slightly frustrating but fun learning phase, and you know, with Mayo and taxes, I spent about 6 months kind of learning the ropes of the language, and then the more tools I gained, the more I was able to just dive straight into creating something rather than just struggling. Right now, it's kind of that phase right now, spending 4/5 of the time sort of making mistakes and fixing bugs in the code, as opposed to actually producing just productive code. Let's generate another little thing here. We got some interesting shapes out here. This is all kind of, there's better methods to do this, but yeah, I'll be making bugs with even 5 years of experience. Calendial, yeah, I know that. Same thing with, you know, even in Mayo and taxes, being familiar. But, you know, you spend, the more experience you get, the more time you spend producing productive code as opposed to buggy code. And yes, we'll do Perlin noise at some point, as soon as I figure out what it is. There's other possibilities too. There's programs out there that can generate maps. It might be interesting just to pull their maps and translate them over too. So what's that, Calendial? You're saying, actually, I'll start yelling simplex. What's simplex? Let's find out what simplex is. Simplex is more math. Yay! Stop with the maths. Simplex noise. Okay. Yeah, so I'm still intimidated by a lot of the math, of course, because I'm not really a math person. And so at some point I'm contemplating that I might have to actually, have to take some, take some courses, take some math courses, just to brush up. Yeah, so G-Rex, you're saying, what is this? This is just the experimenting we've done with Songs of Eons so far, what we've made. This is just the map generation script for anyone that happens to be trickling in. Right, so we'll generate another map. Doink! There's the next map. So we probably won't fiddle around too much more with that's cute. Probably won't fiddle around too much more with the map generation elevation algorithms and try to get into rivers and civilization and stuff like that. Cool little lake there. Right now it's pretty simple, G-Rex. A lot of it's limited to me trying to learn. For the moment it's gonna be cylindrical. Right now the map actually, it connects north and south, east and west, for simplicity's sake at the moment. Cool little lake there. Little bay. I really want to try and get into a lot of the simulation stuff, which is more my forte. It'd be nice to flesh out a team, that has plus tiles confirmed. Flesh out a team, because I'm never gonna have the same level of mathematical aptitude as someone like David or Calendial. I think gotta stick with what I'm good at. Although still, I try to understand as much as I can, because just being an idea person is not terribly effective if you don't know what's possible with the code. Yeah, and my wife has already participated on the geology side. We talk about different types of rivers and where the she's a hydrogeologist, you know, so she's perfect for this kind of thing. Yeah, so another big objective is to get a repository up for all the team members so we can all be working on the same project. And then, you know, if someone like Calandial or David wants to fiddle around with Perlin noise with the map generation, they can do it, you know. And we get like a crappy baseline like this, then I can start working on simulation. In the chat, let's see what are people saying. Linear algebra isn't hard, it's just headache inducing. Simulation, yes, that's why you use NumPy and don't worry about it. People in your talkings about maths. Yeah, we need to round off these edges. And there's some shoreline tiles too, but it's a little tricky to assign it properly. I'll try and get rivers first. You know, we could really use is Jonathan, as far as the team is concerned. Jonathan's a good has been really good at giving us mock-ups and stuff like that. But I don't think Jonathan is like a professional trained artist. It seems like getting your paws on an artist is, you know, trained artist is such a freaking hard thing to do. Okay, guys, enough of your darn mathing. So is there anything anyone wanted to bring up? Generally speaking, no beaver top hat type stuff, but all of the pop growth stuff you can see has been commented out for now. Hey Lambert. What would happen if I disabled it? Or re-enabled it? Probably just plunk down crap all over the place. Yeah, G-Rex, going with squares at the moment, just for the sake of learning and possibly even the first iteration of the game. In a lot of ways, that, you know, the choices I've made in the meantime revolve around my own limitations at the moment. And so, as much as I hate to admit that there's a lot of things I really don't know right now, I want to make sure I don't overwhelm myself with. I want to kind of dive straight in and be able to create things, because that's a really handy way to learn. Beaver Top Hat Inc. Yes, we need a name for the development studio. Beaver Top Hat Inc. That could actually be pretty funny. Development studios, especially indie development studios, are a lot like band names, you know? So yeah, something like Beaver Top Hat Inc. would be pretty funny. The logo can be like a beaver with a top hat. Pomegranate ink. A pomegranate always pays its debts. Calandiel says, how much do you want to achieve before posting it on the repo and releasing your Hounds of War? I don't think it's that big of a deal for you guys to be fiddling around. Because if you have an idea and you just want to be like, hey, let me try this thing out. Let me try to do this thing or that thing. Especially when it comes to map generation. Like, I had my fun. I got to make, a landscape or whatever. And so it wouldn't be such a bad thing if you had some ideas to let you fiddle around with Perlin noise. And it's even advantageous because I learn best when I open up other people's code and then I can look through it, And so that would be just fine. Actually, during the technical stream after this stream, it might even be a good idea to try to officially get the repo up and running. I got I set up SourceTree and all that, and I'm capable of moving the project in, but I'm having issues with Unity recognizing the project in a different location. So I gotta sort that out. Go away, SourceTree. And so the idea is, team members, actually, SourceTree, you can come back. We can all just commit to the repo and then pull one another's changes as things goes on. So, Calandiel can be like, hey, I added this widget into to the game, and so why don't you check it out and see what happens? And then I can just pull the change, check it out, and then we're both on the same page. I'm not a master of Git and SourceTree, but we used it with Mayo and Taxes, so it's not. I have enough familiarity. Yeah, there's a lot of, you see a lot of bridges. G-Rex says, what I see on your map doesn't happen very much in those bridges. Yeah, well, kind of what we need in some ways is, I guess that's probably the advantage of Perlin noise, right? There just needs to be, it's too much like a slime mold. The map at the moment, it needs it could use a little smoothing algorithms or stuff like that to Perlin. You guys don't know how much that bothers me. Bigger continents that are more defined rather than all these things. Well, that's kind of cool, you have to admit. Got a little island in the middle of this giant bay. Yeah, the Llama Deli. You say, notice you don't stream Mayo Dev stuff anymore. What happens? I stopped developing Mayo for a while. Too much. I wanted to get Songs of the Eons to a good point. And because we have patrons on Patreon and stuff like that, and so I wanted to have something to show for it so that people know I'm serious about doing it. I also wanted to get my feet wet because I have this itch to learn object-oriented programming languages, and in order for me to learn effectively, I have to kind of stick with it for a while. So yeah, so that's why there hasn't been much M&T stuff. I've fixed a few bugs and things like that, but I have not spent tons of time doing much development on M&T recently. As much as it would be nice to get back to it. There's also and this is something I kind of experienced a little bit in my own taxes, but I'm kind of experiencing it now, is that when you're trying to lead a project, and then you have people who are working on it that end up having more time than you do to work on it, it ends up being, I don't know, it's hard to feel like you don't feel like you're pulling your weight. You feel like you need to work on it more, and so I know David, for instance, is doing a lot of work on the engine and a lot of research and trying to figure out the best way to handle things, and it can be difficult to keep up. And so I'm finding myself in a position where if I were to spend 2 weeks to go develop something on Mayo and taxes, suddenly I'm leaving a bunch of team members like Jonathan or David or Clandiel just kind of sitting around like, so when are things moving along? And there's just simply not enough time to really be working on both concurrently. But I don't know. We'll see. If I walk away from SOTE for too long, I kind of anticipate I'll end up in a situation where I lose familiarity with the code, and then I'll come back to it and I'll kind of be like, what the hell was I doing again? I just haven't spent enough time with it to feel like it's ingrained. Just ditch the wife and kid and you'll have all the time in the world. Yeah. Also, I unfortunately have this situation where my youngest is having some unexpected issues, and so she may have to drop out of preschool, which puts a bit of creates some time issues. Yeah, I'm seeing those bridges. That's because the general decay mechanic isn't sufficient enough. There's a general decay variable in there. It's only at -1. So for instance, let's make it -2 and see what happens. I bet we'll have a lot less bridges. There you go, no more bridges, but now there's like no land. Jesus. Yeah. Now we have archipelago. Yeah, so that's where we're at the moment. It'll be cool once we have some of the wildlife and civilization simulation code. I should make some methods. Mate. There's better ways to do things, but my issue right now is I'm new to object-oriented programming language, so I'm sort of repeating a lot of the bad habits that you would that I've picked up from the limitations of PDoc scripts. So yeah, you can see. Yes, I mean I could theoretically just make a variable for for each of these, and then just change it once and have it defined somewhere. So yeah. So could just make a variable called base elevation decay or something like that, or base planes decay. Oh, that giant rule them all class. You mean the procedural gen class? I'm still familiarizing with like concepts like data structures. And, uh-oh, Mongol is unhappy. Yeah. So, anything else anyone wanted to talk about? Figured we didn't need to make this a super long stream if we don't need to. I can always move on to technical. I'm seeing it everywhere now. Ah. Okay. All right. You want to postpone the generation of the world for the simulation part? Yeah. Because this can kind of be molded as time goes on. I kind of want to take skills I learned here, apply them to the simulation part, to flesh them out a bit more, and then return with more complex tools and stuff, and then learn more complex tools, go over, apply them. Oh yeah, the longer term plan. Let me see what's going on with my youngest right now. I'll be right back. Okay. Yeah, my youngest is got hand, foot, and mouth disease at the moment. So not in daycare, not in preschool. So Nana's watching her, but having some problems. All right, let me catch up. I think the longer term planning is best first discussed in the forum or Discord. Yeah, probably. Yeah, we can probably discuss some of the long-term plans in the forums. Thing is, you know, and David, you'll probably notice I've been a bit reluctant to over-plan for the future, and that's mainly because I feel like in some cases, as you plan or as you build certain skills and a prototype and things like that, as you watch the community evolve and as you see people's interests or lack of interest, you end up finding better ways to do things than when you initially started. Even when it comes to some of the meta stuff. And also, you can box yourself in too. And part of the point of the new game developer was kind of to identify the best way to proceed, you know, as people come in and give ideas and give perspectives, and as you realize what's practical and possible for the project itself. Some things, you know, yeah, you wanna plan to create a repository. You wanna plan for how to integrate new team members and things like that. But one of the things I definitely want to do, and one of the things that I think is critical for maintaining the viability of a project like this, is to at this particular stage not take on too many people, not load too much pressure on, not to have too many expectations, but instead every day to wake up and chisel away at it over time. You know, because I found that when you set expectations high and then you start not meeting them, then you end up stuck with the feeling that you're kind of failing at it, and soon you feel demoralized about it. But I've been able to, like, the work so far, and I mentioned this in the beginning, the work so far that I think I've done and we've done, to me, has been, it's been low stress enough that I've been able to feel like it's satisfying, you know? And if it's one thing I want to avoid, it's to be stuck in the situation I was in with Mayo and taxes, where I basically had to cannibalize my personal life and neglect my family and kids, because there was always this pressure of I couldn't get things done fast enough, and you know, I was getting totally burned out, and whenever I wasn't working on it, I felt like I was wasting my time and I needed to get back to it. So anyway, meta stuff. The man who moves a mountain begins with a single stone. I think one thing that definitely needs to be done is Janae Kemp, one of the people that I've been following, had written up a battery to do that gave a better understanding of what we were trying to achieve with the game. And so I think something like that would be really handy, flesh out some of those details. Also, so on the simulation side, did you decide where you play as government, as king, or as a spirit of the nation? Even if PDOX games handle this differently. Yeah, like David said, it revolves around the dominant faction of the government. So it's almost, you could say it's almost like, I guess, the way Victoria approaches it, right? Where you have a bunch of factions, and then if the communists become most common, suddenly you're a communist government, right? Sort of more spirit of the nation type of thing, yeah. When you get into the notion that you are a specific ruler, like if you get into like Crusader Kings 2, then you're actually dealing with more features piled up on top, and it can get complicated. And we already have a lot slated. I still have Jan's battery list around here someplace. Yeah, Lamadeli. If you're a monarchy, will your nobility be important? I mean, ideally, yeah. Type of government depends significantly, and especially whether you're trying to enforce a certain type of government on an incompatible type of society, right? And lore, on the lore side of SOTE, it's supposed to be classic fantasy, right? Tolkien-esque type of, you have your elves and orcs and things like that, but the point is, yeah, the lore is new lore is generated each time there's a new world, so that's kind of somewhat of the point. But yeah, beavers created the universe, and everything used to be but dust and stone, but then the Great Dam broke, and water rushed through the world, and then the beaver people were made in the Great Beaver, the Great Beaver's image. Orcish Maoist revolutionaries. Let me pull up Jan's. Let's see if I can find Jan's. Right, there was a... This actually wouldn't take too long at all. The battery. Well, maybe we can do it here. What do you think? Could always do it during the stream. Well, yeah, Mate, this whole project was just basically a rebranded way to make my Beaver simulator. Yeah, how about we pull up that battery? Now it'll answer a lot of people's questions here too. Let's see. Well, it's here. We can actually answer these. Songs. Right? Yeah, enable editing, of course. Songs of the night. These, I'm not sure. Not sure what. Let's see. Let's go to these first. What is the game being planned? Get rid of these bulleted points. this. Let's make a new document. And I'll write the questions in here, and then geopolitical fantasy simulator. That's okay. Eons. I'm not gonna do the first two. Let's just go straight to what is the game being planned. Peter says, a realistic simulation of growth, decline, and fall of everything from small tribes to great empires. Something along those lines. Ones of the Eons is be an epic fantasy world simulator. Oh, Twitch chat. Let's see. Yeah, I'm looking at Twitch chat. Is it broken or something? Because I don't see anything in Twitch chat. Let me refresh the page. See if anyone types anything. Deep simulation. That's a good phrase. Songs of the Eons will be an epic yeah, true. Will be a deep ones. Grand strategy, that'd be better. As long as the ends will be, let me just really quickly. We sort of did. Here, let's pull up the old one. But it wasn't this specific. Let's see, information and links. Flyer pins. Don't see any. Where did our pin messages go? Oh, there's a summary of Songs of the Eons, yeah. Oh, right, yeah, right here. It's kind of a big block of text. So it doesn't, it's not really in a bulleted type of form. yeah, something that isn't as wall of textish, so people can kind of, right, so they can look at the generalized points and just get bulleted points that are with some brevity. Yeah, so a lot of these are just like one-liners. Let's write these down, actually. So that could be a good preface to something like this, you know. Yeah, some nice art would be good. For that, we need a nice artist. What kind of game is it? We kind of covered that genre theme. Cowboydang says with deep. Too many wits. Yeah. As long as the ends will be a grand strategy game. This, of which is oh, okay. Game. Game is grand strategy sandbox. Bolded. Yeah, it's bolded. Next question. What does the player do in the game? Trying to find a way to say this that isn't the usual cliche. Oh, you guide your country through blah 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 blah. You know. There needs to be some, you know, some catch like usually it's like, you know, oh, guide your country to greatness, blah blah blah. But in this case, you're guiding it through its rise and inevitable fall, you know. Yeah, that's true. Govern a society Okay. Cowboy Dang says, lead and struggle with their very own nation, culture, societies, peoples, trying to maintain the society through the challenges that come with Eons. That's Peter has a good one. Try and fail to shape the entire world in your image. Reach new heights of power and prestige. And yeah, claw and try to cling to it or something. And fail. And fail. As the guide, evolution as greater size evolution as it shapes the world. Let me write down the other questions to see if, to make sure we don't end up being redundant. Is the core concept philosophy of the game? Makes the game interesting and different from others. What does the player do in game? Yeah. Answer the rest of this first. David, I'd actually think that what you said would be good right here with what makes the game interesting and different from others. Deep, realistic simulation. Sandbox approach in which the player can experiment without the pressure of start date or end date. Yeah, then what is the core concept or philosophy of the game? I think like the core concept or philosophy of the game has to be core philosophy, something like that's kind of goes back to the whole spreadsheet thing, right? That a deep strategy game isn't just a spreadsheet. It has deep and everything you do has deep and complex consequences that I do like what Cowboy said about freedom. Maybe we can nix the whole core philosophy thing. But maybe, I don't know. What makes the game interesting and different from others? Because this does kind of overlap, you know? Deep realistic simulation, a sandbox approach in which the player can experiment. This is honestly a much bigger thing. Like this concept, right? So, you know, in Minecraft and Terraria, you have this sandbox perspective. Even a lot of adventure games, it's like, do what you want, take your time, have fun, experiment. But how many strategy games, grand strategy games, do you see that in? There always seems to be like, it's always like a race, you know? And so you don't get to experiment, you don't get to you feel like if you take your time, then you're playing the game bad, you know? You know what I'm saying? Actually, this should be more like a slogan. What is the core concept or philosophy of the game? The best decision in a strategy game shouldn't be discernible from a spreadsheet. Yeah, somewhere I would like to capture this though. You know? Where do we it would be good to kind of just crunch these together. We don't want too many bullets, right? But somewhere I'd like to be able to say this. Let's stash this. I think you have it right, Demian. So you think we should just have this right here? We can always move this somewhere else, this bullet. It seems like it should almost be a little bit lower or something. So let's put it down there if we can rearrange it later. This kind of, you know, is something that I carry with me and I've carried with me a long time as far as strategy games are concerned. Like to make that point. So let's move on to another question. What features, aspects, and qualities describe the game best? I do kind of like something Cowboy said. A world wherein every decision made causes other events to happen, setting off countless sets of dominoes. Let's see. May bump into a point where that becomes pertinent. Yeah, done with the days of random comments, right? Yeah, we need to. Here's some of the other questions. I'm kind of picking and choosing. What makes the game interesting, fun, different from others? That could be... Oh, we already got that, yeah. Maybe a second sentence here is kind of an important point. Because the world is alive, the player is also given the strong impression that everything they do makes a difference in the world. Why do you want to make this game? Why is it worthy of making? Why is it worthy of making? This could be framed in a way with the complaints that we have of other strategy games, kind of like what Cowboy was getting at. You know, roll a random comet out of nowhere and boom. You don't feel like it's things that happen in the game are necessarily connected to you know, events in the game. Don't feel like they're connected to some meaningful thing happening. Why don't I make this game? Why is it worthy of making? Feels like you know, as much as I love strategy games, there's been so few made in the past 15 years that have really gotten my attention and felt like they truly captured deep strategy. I remember there was this old game called Master of Orion 2, which had a tremendous amount of deep strategy. See a space battle here, and it had a great strategic map where you would make decisions, but then there was a fantastic tactical system too. Jump to another battle, and a lot of the, like, you would customize a race, and a lot of the things you could do with your race had qualitative aspects to it. It wasn't just like, oh, this race gets +10 to research, this race gets +10 to growth. You know, you would have things like telepathic that would give you this qualitative advantage that you could leverage in diverse ways. Or you would get subterranean, allowing your people to live underground and allowing you to do stuff with planets you couldn't normally do before. And they have all of these qualitative type of deep strategy components. Same thing with customizing your ships and your fleet and stuff like that. Because someone has an auto combat or something, but you know, you could build all kinds of different types of ships and give them you make them carriers for you know, for fighters, or load them up with missiles, or give them beam weapons, or give them automatic repair or heavy armor. There's all these things you can do. So you could radically customize your fleet for tactical performance or even strategic performance as well, longer range or faster, so you could raid outposts faster. And so I haven't played many deep strategy games like that since then. And so that's kind of the kind of thing I feel like I've been trying to capture in the game, that kind of deep strategy. How do I say that? And this, honestly, I'm kind of glad we're doing this because this is this is a problem I've had for a while. How do you distill down into a few sentences why this project is successful? I feel like we need that slogan, you know? But it's so hard. It's so hard to do. So hard to get people to understand. That's why it's like a lot of the fans of Mayo and Taxes, like, why they already understand, because they've kind of seen those kinds of mechanics. And so they all know already, you know. Right? With difficulty. That's how we do it. To create a strategy game where the player is constantly faced with complex decisions, which are not have an obvious problems which emerge from the game's the result is that obvious choices let me make this more personal somehow. Bounce over the Twitch. See if anyone's saying anything. No. Something more inspiring. Why do you want to make this game? Why is it worthy of making? I feel that most strategy games are lacking in deep strategy. ideas out there. Starting to draw blanks. Maybe. Maybe this is something that can be resolved better on Discord. I could post it, or even on the forum, right? Maybe that would be a good approach. Can make a little thread. Help with battery. And I can post these little things one at a time, and people can compose their thoughts, give some suggestions. How does that sound? So we've started to move into the staring at a screen, trying to figure out what to say phase of the stream. Yeah, let me go ahead and save this. Something. Oh no, I was just thinking, David, that maybe this would be a good thing to bring up in the forum, and then write little things out, and then people can say what they think, and that way everyone can kind of meditate on it as opposed to doing it in real time. I was thinking I might move on to the technical stream and leave this part to the forum or something like that. Yeah. Get some action on the forum. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. What is going on the forums right now? Chair. Beavers and ponies. Alright, so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and transfer over to Twitch and Live EDU, which I'm sure Live EDU is buggy again, but whatever. Oh no, Calandial, why haven't you slept? It'll definitely be on Twitch, David. Possibly Live EDU, depending on if it's operating properly. Alright, so I'll see you guys later. This is the update, what we've been doing. Yay, wonderful. Visit Patreon, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. I'll see ya. I'll also be streaming the multiplayer game tomorrow. So, see you then.